Thank you. When it is cold out, you want comfort food. Janine Washle is here with Cloverfield's Farm and Kitchen to help us make a simple beef stew. So what do we need to do?
It is a simple beef stew, but it's big on flavor. Okay. It's hearty. You can take the leftovers and turn them into a pot pie. I've got a pot pie over here. You can also vary the ingredients. Once you get this foundation recipe done, you could literally have beef stew every week of a month and have it taste different and not have your family say, why are we eating beef stew again?
Variations are good.
Exactly. So it starts with a 3 to 4 pound chuck roast that I've turned into chunks. You want to cut your chunks, and here I'm going to give you some tips along the way. You want your chunks to be a little bit bigger because meat actually shrinks as it cooks. And then something that we forget about is putting the chunks into a seasoned flour mix. Now it can stick up your cutting board or a bowl, so the tip is to put it into a gallon-sized bag, move it around, and that way you can flour it. Now I've got some here that I've already floured and I'm searing them. Searing means that we're using a little bit of oil and some high heat, and you want to do this in batches because look at the good flavor that we have on here. This is caramelization, and that adds color and it also adds flavor. And then we get this stuff in the bottom, and when we add our beef stock to this, it'll come off the bottom and create a really rich broth.
And do you recommend cast iron?
I do use a lot of cast iron. I use Le Creuset, which is an enamel cast iron, so it's really easy to clean up. But if you're going to do low, slow cooking on your stovetop, you definitely want a heavy pot. And you can find cast iron at flea markets and tag sales, that sort of thing. Now, if you try to be lazy about it, that's perfect. If you try to be lazy about it and do all the meat at the same time, you end up getting meat that doesn't have caramelization and it looks kind of gray. And gray meat is yucky meat. You don't have the flavor that you could have, and the broth doesn't get the flavor that it could have. And that's about 4 cups of beef stock. That's about all that we need. You know, people think, oh, I need so much beef stock. No, you don't, because your meat will give off liquid, and so will your vegetables. And this is my mom's tip. My mom always adds a half can of tomato paste. You don't taste the tomato, but it just makes beef taste beefier. And her other tip for us is to add 2 bay leaves. Bay leaves just give a spicy flavor and a complex flavor, and so we let this cook for an hour and a half. And then we add our vegetables. A lot of time people add everything at
one time.
Exactly. And then you have smushy vegetables and you don't have the good toothsome quality. We add a little bit of salt. There was salt in our seasoned flour, so we don't have to add a lot. And another tip is 1 pound of meat equals 1 teaspoon of salt. So you can figure that out that way. We've got a cup of celery, 1.5 cups of carrots, and 3 cups of potatoes, because potatoes and beef go together so well. But the star of the show is the beef, so you don't want to add too many vegetables because, you know, it's all about the beef in a good home-style beef stew. This will cook another 30 to 45 minutes. This will thicken up. The flour that was on the outside of that will thicken up the broth, and we will end up with a wonderful, honest-to-goodness beef stew. And then, you know, that can be turned into a pot pie, or another option I'm going to share is a slow cooker burgoo recipe if beef stew isn't up your alley.
A lot of ideas there. Thank you so much, Janine. And her recipes are on our website, WDRB.com. We'll check back with her in just a half hour. Sterling?